What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to Around the World with Steven. Welcome if you're new, and if you're returning, I appreciate you. What's up, worldies and travelers? Welcome back. Love you all. Thank you all for your support. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing. Today I gotta go on for you. This has been highly requested in the past before I took that long break, and I thought of getting to it. So this is the case of the Inwa boarding school. I think the title is the horrific Korean boarding school that abused disabled students. Oh man, I can feel tensions rising right now inside my bones. Like, not just abusing students, but disabled students. I can't wait. Let's get into it. Please like, share, subscribe, and join our Discord. Discord link is in the description. Please join our Discord. Let's grow that family. Let's grow that family. Channel has been asleep for a while. We're now awake, back to regular schedule. Let's get it going. So let's see what the heck was going on in this Korean boarding school, because this is crazy. Let's get it.
Bada bing, bada boo.
In the middle of the night, a 13-year-old girl by the name of Lee, we're going to call her Lee, she would sneak out of her dorm room. She lived in this boarding school near the mountains in South Korea, like near the southern tip of South Korea. And it's not just a regular boarding school. The boarding school was strictly for students who had mental, physical, and or intellectual disabilities. They were always under close watch and supervision, so for her to sneak out at night, it was terrifying. She could hear the crickets, the sound of owls. She could hear her feet pitter-patter through the field. She's getting close to the outside school gates. She just needs to get past that and into the parked car. She opens the passenger side and hops in. This time there's two people in the car.
What?
Lee glances around to make sure that no teacher, no administrator saw her get in here. She'd be severely punished if she was caught sneaking out to talk to reporters. But worse things have happened in this boarding school, and she was ready to tell the journalist everything. So it's a known fact, almost like clockwork in this school, especially on the weekends. The students would go to sleep petrified. They would wear as many layers as possible, even in the scorching heat of South Korean summers. They would pull their blankets up straight up to their neck, sometimes even cover their heads.
Wait. Don't tell me at night they were being essayed, because that's what I'm thinking right now. Disabled students have to wear layers in the night. Oh my goodness. Stop playing with me.
And they would wait. They can't fall asleep on the weekends. It's almost like you're waiting for a boogeyman, a ghost to come in. If they're lucky, nothing happens. They wake up sleep deprived. If they're unlucky, they hear the door click open.
Oh my gosh.
And someone is heard getting into the beds with the students. Most of the times, all you heard were muffled pleas for help. He usually put a pillow over their heads. Everyone in the dorm rooms knows what's happening. They all know who it is. They all know they can't dare say a single word. Instead, they all pretend to be asleep, praying that they're not next. But it wasn't just at night or just in the dorms. She told the journalist about how much the kids hated something called movie time. Certain teachers would turn on movies for the whole class, and the teacher would sit in the very, very back in the shadows, call over 2 to 3 female students to sit in the back with him, and he would assault them in front of a classroom full of students. And nobody ever tried to tell the parents or anyone what happened? She said, well, he threatened to kill us. So it's just that one teacher, the one that plays the movies, or is he the same one that sneaks into the dorm rooms? No, there's more.
What?
There's one we call the pervert. When we see him walk down the hallway, we avoid eye contact.
Wait, no. What? Multiples teachers or What? They are disabled. What kind of an evil monster devil? What kind of low life piece of garbage do you have to be to touch somebody who is already vulnerable? You've got to be kidding me. Not one? Oh my goodness.
If the pervert catches you, it's too late. He caught Hemin. Hemin was a deaf student in the school. She was called into the pervert's office, and she didn't know why the pervert would want to see her. All she knew was that nothing good ever happens in the pervert's office. But she had no reason not to go. She literally lives here. No legitimate excuse that she can use. So she went. And when she walked into the office, she's facing away from the dorm. The pervert walks behind her and ever so slowly turns the doorknob and gently closes the door. And click, he locked it. But because Hemin was deaf, she didn't hear a thing.
What?
And she was turned, facing away from him, so she didn't see it. She had no idea that he was trapping her. And then, boom, he turned off the lights. It's pitch black. She could feel her breathing going faster as her eyes are just trying to adjust to the dark. There is a tiny little TV in the corner that she hadn't really noticed before, but now that it's dark, it's the only source of light. So she's squinting. There was a disgusting adult film that was playing on there.
You are a piece of bro. This is too early in the video. I can't be cussing. But this is, please, Lord, please, somebody, tell me. Oh my goodness, man. It is one thing. Now, I'm not saying essay is good. I'm not saying preying on people is good. But vulnerable people that need help, that sometimes need assistance from people to be able to survive, not survive, but to be able to sometimes go through daily tasks. You are authority supposed to look after them, and you're doing this. If mercy is shown on this piece of garbage or whoever is included, all the people that showed mercy, including the system, should be burned out. It is crazy. I have never seen anything, any piece of rat's garbage like, stop.
And
stop.
She whipped around, and her determination was to just run out the door, right? Doesn't matter, just run out. And there she saw him blocking the door. The principal standing, pants at his ankles, fully masturbating and staring straight at her.
He's the principal?
The pervert is the principal, and she would not escape his office unscathed.
Wow.
The student glanced out the car window and told them another story. A friend of hers had been lured into one of the teacher's offices. They ambushed her there, hog-tied her, restrained her in 5 different places. She was gagged. A few of the teachers, they assaulted her for almost 15 hours. She was gone the whole day, and then afterwards, as a lesson, quote lesson, they left her tied up after the abuse. She knew that there was nobody she could tell that would help. I mean, we know that the police are working with the teachers. There would be no point. She had no choice but to go back to her dorm and try to pretend like none of this ever happened. But there were other rumors too. When students would get pregnant, they would disappear. What do you mean they would disappear? We don't know. But one student was feeling morning sickness. She didn't have her period in like 3 months. She was pregnant. She started to show. One day we went to check up on her in her dorm room because she didn't make it to class. She wasn't feeling great. Her dorm was empty. She was gone. All of her belongings were gone. We never heard from her again. But that's not all. In the darkness of the car, the student told the journalist everything in a series of secret meetings. How they were starved. They would be forced to gather around for dinner and eat scraps of food that were left over from lunch, like teachers' food scraps. They were basically fighting for food in like a pit. There were rumors about a girl that had starved to death because she was so hungry she ate wallpaper. And when she fell ill from eating wallpaper, because think of all the toxic substances in the glue and the paper itself, one of the teachers pushed her off the roof to make her family believe that it was her decision. These are the terrifying stories from Inwa Boarding School for the Disabled. It would inspire a movie called The Silenced. And this movie resulted in a public uproar that would change South Korea as a nation. And I don't put that lightly. Like, South Korean law was forever changed because of this movie. So let's get into it.
Before we go any further, I'd like to make this announcement. If you're watching me and you know that you're going to speak on behalf of the perpetrators of this stupid school, of these stupid people that did this to these disabled people, don't watch. Get out. I don't need you here. I do not care if I get one view, if I don't get engagement on this reaction. This is disgusting behavior. Bro, I am boiling inside, and in such cases, I wish the law would allow not just capital punishment, but would allow citizens to take hold of such idiots. Please.
As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. There is a fictionalized book on this case. It's loosely fictionalized. So much of the abuse reported in the book is pretty play-by-play of what the victims have stated have happened. The book is called The Crucible, written by Kong Ji-young, one of the most prominent, respected female writers in Korea, and it is what many South Koreans consider the most horrific read you can ever pick up. And the thing about the novel is, there was an investigator who worked on this case and said, yeah, the novel probably covered 25 to 30% of what really happened.
Oh my gosh, man.
But probably due to public well-being concerns and publishers' legal, rights, I don't think that she could have ever published 100% of what happened.
Bro, think about this. The novel that was horrific painted a picture to readers covered only 30%. Whatever those students went through, just 30% was that horrific to read. First and foremost, whoever the victims are, I am sincerely sorry to you. I am nothing. I am not a voice. I'm nothing. But I'm sincerely sorry to you. The world didn't deserve to have you treated like that. I don't even know what to say right now. I don't think I was ready for this video. Now, to the perpetrators,
there was the movie, the 2011 Silenced movie that was inspired by the book. And it's often referred to the movie that changed South Korea. Because I think a lot of Koreans, they knew that it was a drama. They knew that it was sad. They knew it was going to be emotional. They went into theaters thinking, this is how I'm going to spend my Friday night. This is how I'm going to hang out for the weekend. Oh. People said when they came out, they couldn't breathe. It was like there was a 50-pound dumbbell on their chest. And I think maybe it's also, when you watch something in a big group of people, there's kind of this energy that feeds off of each other. People said this should be categorized as the worst horror movie ever. It's that bad. Since this is a South Korean case, we had multiple Korean researchers assist in the gathering of the facts. And a big warning, today's story deals with a lot of children with disabilities, quite literally the most vulnerable population of society. It's not a happy story. It's pretty hard to get through, and it has an even more depressing end to it all. So if you're not in a good mood, if you're not in a good headspace today, I recommend turning this video off and maybe reading a book instead. So with that being said, Kim Ho-sung, he kind of had a creepy job. His job was to wake up at the crack of dawn, drive around in the foggy morning picking up students. Then he would drop them off at school. Being a bus driver isn't creepy, and the kids aren't creepy, but there was just something about that boarding school. So it's a boarding school where most of the kids, they live there full time, but there were still a few that commuted. So he would pick up the commuters.
Bro, some of the kids lived there full time. We just heard about 2 or 3 horrific incidents, nightmares, stuff that are made of nightmares, stupid idiots running the place, and some of the disabled kids lived there full time. What?
The school was nestled at the bottom of a mountain, and it looked like there was a perpetual cloud of fog looming over the place. And he would see the other students that lived at the school, and just something about them, the way that they would walk around the school campus in the mornings when he came to pull up with the commuters, it's as if they were empty shells of ghosts. It's like he was pulling up to a zombie school. They weren't having fun. They weren't running around full of morning energy. They were zombies. There were probably moments he even joked with his family, hey, maybe the school is haunted and those are all ghosts and I'm the only one that sees them. That's how the kids are acting. They're just crazy. Maybe it's not even a boarding school. Maybe all the students that I bring, that's it. It's very creepy. The only reason he kept the job was the kids really liked him. They really loved him. He was like a grandpa. They were so comfortable around him. He wanted to see their journey through the school years. Sometimes he would open the door, a kid would step in, smile, and wave, and as the sleeve of their shirt lifted up, he would see a bruise.
Oh
or
my
multiple
gosh.
bruises. And the first time he saw it on a kid, he would lock eyes with the kid and smile. He wouldn't say anything because, maybe kids are tough players. Maybe they got too excited at the playground. But the second time he saw it, he would try and approach it as gently as possible. What happened to your wrist? He thought maybe it's a parent, But they would smile sheepishly and a friend would butt in. Oh, he forgot his homework, so the teacher punished him. Hwasong didn't like the sound of that. Okay, so teachers physically disciplining students in South Korea hadn't been outlawed at this point, but to leave actual bruises, that's going a bit too far usually.
Yes, that is going a little bit too far. And where the heck are the kids' parents? Because those are the kids that commuted. Those are the kids the bus driver went to get. So it means those with parents had their parents probably seen the bruises. What the heck did they do about it? Bus driver saw it, which means you parents might have seen it. Were you that busy that you don't care about your parents, your kids? And this is a disabled school, so I believe some of the kids were disabled. You just leave them like that when they come home? Don't ask them how school went. Don't look at them for bruises and stuff like that. You didn't catch it the first day, second day, third day, 1 week, 2 weeks. Didn't catch anything? The bus driver saw it. Are you serious?
He tried his best to be happy for the kids because it didn't seem like the teachers were that happy. It didn't seem like the boarding school kids were that happy. So,
And the physical punishment also, it's not like, it's like usually they ask you to put your hands up and they will spank you with a ruler.
Yeah.
So it's not like punching you, leaving bruises. Not that kind of physical.
no.
Yeah.
It's usually like
Yeah. This is back in the days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spank your palm and type
Yeah,
of
or the back of your legs. It's not like they're just throwing you around, jumping you with a gang of teachers.
Yeah.
I mean, but there have been instances of that, and I think that's why it's been outlawed in South Korea. But yeah, it was supposed to be disciplinary action. So this is why he's very confused. The bus driver is like, that's not normal to have any bruises left on a student because he forgot his homework. That's abuse. That's not even disciplinary action, right? So he makes sure that he's the happiest part of the kids' days. The shy ones would get on the bus and he would try to bring them out of their shells like, okay, well, how was your day? What'd you guys do? He remembered as he was driving, he was having a conversation with one of the female students in the front row. And she was telling him about her day at school. Her tone was very relaxed, casual. And she said, for lunch, I had more Korean food. And then the teacher touched me down there because I forgot my homework. And then, I think I had geography class right after. His hands gripped the steering wheel and he glanced in the rearview mirror and the little girl is just smiling at him, telling him what happened as if, because she's a kid.
How
She-
old are these students?
Like, so, okay, so this is from elementary to high
gosh,
school, this boarding
man.
school, because it's a school for the disabled. It's not like really a high school.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think she was like 10.
Wow.
What?
Yeah. Of course, she has
That young, bro. You somebody hold me right now. That young. 10. Mr. Driver, you are the brightest day of the kids' lives. You see bruises. Definitely the parents are being, well, I'm gonna wait. There might be an explanation somewhere in the video because this doesn't make sense to me. Now, Mr. Driver, what the heck did you do about it? Don't tell me you just picked them up and dumped them and saw all the bruises and everything, and the days went by and you shut up and did nothing. I don't know if I'm able to complete this video, man. Maybe this might be in parts. This might be my first ever video in parts. If I'm able to complete it, then man, I might need some cleansing after this. Oh my goodness, man.
no idea that this is wrong. Nobody taught her that, and that's not her fault, right? And she's just smiling, telling this story because she's that young. He didn't want to push her too much. He was worried that he would cause her to close up or think that she was in trouble. So he tried to keep his tone light.
Gosh,
Oh, a
man.
teacher touched you? Where? In my pants, like near my potty parts. The little girl got distracted with her friends, and that night the bus driver went home and he was pacing his living room. Sometimes you want to scream like, okay, well, bus driver, do something, right? But I had to keep reminding myself that this is a completely different time from today. There was no social media. There was really no police that cared unless there was social media pressuring them to care. And the media didn't care unless they were guaranteed clicks. Who was this bus driver to go up against an entire school accusing one of the teachers that he didn't even know which one
And I
of
wonder-
abuse?
Yeah, and
I'm not gonna accuse shit. I'm sorry for cussing. I'm not gonna accuse anybody. If I build that rapport with students, if I build that rapport with kids, I've worked with kids before. I've worked with kids in a religious setting. I have driven kids before. They were in the daycare. I drove them to school and back to the daycare. I've done that before. Now, if I build rapport with kids, and sometimes you hear what they say and you see it's so innocent. Like, bro, if I build rapport with kids and I see that somebody says, oh, the teacher touched me with the pants, I don't care if I'm going against the whole school, man. It's either the law does something or I'll be in jail. I'm going to be in jail. I'm going to do something about it. I don't care. Kids are so innocent. Kids are so, bro, you get it, right? But if you go in their midst and you're teaching them, you're showing them something, sometimes they do the dumbest things and they smile and it's so nice, it's quirky, and you know they're in their learning stages. A 10-year-old, bro, a 10-year-old, you touch a 10-year-old in her pants, you deserve to have your... I am ready to crash out, bro. I am ready to crash out. This video might be it for me, man. This video might be it for me, bro. You don't understand. If you've been around 10-year-olds, if you've been around even like 8, 10-year-olds and stuff like that, bro, they tell you everything about their day. They tell you everything about school. They tell you what they're going to do at home. It's just funny. And they make noise in the car. They make noise. I yell at them all the time. We laugh, we sing and stuff. You telling me that somebody saw that kid and touch, bro? I might probably have to do this another time, bro. I might have to do this another time because I can't take this bullshit, bro.
I'm sorry.
No.
And I wonder if this is also his livelihood.
Yeah. And he had kids and a wife, and he had so much pressure. This is really the only job he had. And I know people are going to be like, then get a new job, right? Why would you even want to work under these people? South Korea is very different from the US. So in the US, you could get fired from a job. And if your next boss calls your old boss and they start bad-mouthing you, you could technically sue your old boss. The employee protection laws are a lot stronger here. In South Korea, if you get fired from a job, you're effectively blacklisted. It doesn't even matter if you were fired because you were too good at your job. Doesn't matter if you were, oh, sorry, I was late dropping off the kids. I was trying to help this old lady that was having a seizure on the side of the road. It doesn't matter. You're blacklisted. So the bus driver knew
that I don't get that because they're touching the kids, right? They're inappropriately touching the kids. So even if they fire you and the news comes out, why would you still be blacklisted though? It doesn't make any damn sense. This is a case where it is a disabled school and they're touching kids. I understand if probably some bosses, knowing that law, would have you kiss their asses so they don't fire you because they know if you're fired, you get blacklisted. Understandable. In this case, they're touching the kids, bro. A 10-year-old is they're innocents. They're innocents, man. You're telling me that if he reports to the police, he's getting blacklisted too? In that case, he gets blacklisted too? Somebody from South Korea or a law similar to South Korea should please explain this to me. I know this was the olden times, but please put it in the comments. Let me know because this is insane to me. I do not understand this bullshit. Oh my God, man. Oh, I need some water. Look, I'm not about to talk too much, man.
that he's at the bottom of the totem pole. The people doing this are probably at the top. A teacher, an administrator, he doesn't even know which one. If he stands up against them right now, he would get fired. And then what? And then they would replace him with a new bus driver. Who's to say the new bus driver isn't a predator?
They can tell the police
No,
then.
he had to stay where he was to at least try and protect the kids. But his job is done once he drops them off.
But-
He can't sit in class with them to protect them. He knew the smartest thing to do was to keep his mouth shut for the sake of his own kids, but he just couldn't do it. The next day, he went straight up to the head of administration, which is aka the vice principal, and he told him everything he heard from that little girl. And I don't know what the bus driver was expecting. Maybe nothing would get done, right? But at least he's expecting, okay, the vice principal is going to put on this show, and at least they would pretend to look shocked and like, oh my God, outraged, and then promise him change, and they're going to do an internal investigation, right? The vice principal looked at him and smirked. You're a bus driver, right? So just drive.
Ooh.
The implication being, keep silent and do your job, and don't stick your head in.
Oh, screw, bro. Oh my God. What the bro, are you kidding me right now? What the?
What's not your business. The bus driver knew if this is how they're reacting to these accusations, he needed more to take down the abusers. So every day, the bus driver became a spy. He had never signed up for this. He was just a bus driver. But here he was. The minute the kids were on the bus, he would smile and he would try to nicely, as untraumatically as possible, ask about any abuse that they encountered at the hands of teachers. When he dropped them off at school, he would look to the left and then to the right, and when the coast was clear, he would stay parked in his bus, pull out his black spiral notebook. He started furiously writing down every single detail he remembered. He didn't want to forget a single thing about what any of the kids said, and he would date it. He kept every single entry. He kept comprehensive records every single day for 20 years. He had stacks and stacks of black journals preserved in his home in his closet. And
Did I hear 20 years? Did I hear 20 years?
every time he and his family would walk past it, it would catch their eye. And it's just like this dark energy that's just radiating off these journals. Some of the journal entries talked about the art teacher. The art teacher would force female students up to the second floor classrooms where it was empty. He would strip them naked so he could draw them.
Huh?
These are like 10-year-old girls. Sometimes he did more than just draw. The story of Soyoung was also in his black journal. She was in the 6th grade when it happened to her. Remember how he talked to the vice principal? Soyoung was called into the vice principal's office after school because her grades were too low. And she watched all the other students gather their things, head back to the dorm rooms, and she made her way to the vice principal's office. She's thinking, okay, it's going to be miserable. Maybe like an hour or two of extra supervised study time. Or maybe he would just yell at her and call it a day. But when she stepped into the office, she stood in front of the desk with her head bowed. She watched as he walked behind her, closed the door, locked it, and he prances up behind her and starts groping her. And she remembered screaming, please, somebody help me. But he just whispered, shut your mouth and be quiet. He started hugging her until it escalated to a full incident of the R word. She was in the 6th grade. This was in the vice principal's office. She said it hurt so much she had tears streaming down her face, and after...
Please, can you just do away with prison? This is not a case for prison. In my opinion, their dicks should be chopped off and they hang upside down in the middle of South Korea or something like that. I can't take anything below that. Think about it. These were not just kids. These were disabled kids who needed help and were given to predators. Bro, this is not about jail. I'm sorry. Jail is too good for them. Bro, each and every perpetrator, whoever touched a kid inappropriately in that boarding school is supposed to have their dicks chopped off and hanged upside down in the middle of South Korea. Please. Look, in these cases, I need a dictator. Just for this case. Just the dictator. Handle this case, and then after that, just overthrow the dictator or something. Bro, this is disgusting. You don't understand. It is like somebody doing something to an older person. Something bad to an older person. You know they can't defend themselves. You just know they can't defend themselves. To kids, you know kids cannot defend themselves. Disabled people, 10-year-old disabled people, a whole nother level of evil, man. Bro, tell me why these people should not face unalivement. Just make it make sense to me why they shouldn't face unalivement. I believe in second chances. These people do not need second chance. Please tell me. I have worked with kids, bro. I would say that 1,000. I have worked with kids and I know the innocence of kids, bro. I love kids. I love kids. I started working with kids when I was 15 years old. Bro, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, bro? Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious?
After he was done, he tossed 2 $1 bills on the ground next to her.
Oh my God, bro. No.
Soyoung didn't live in the dorm, so she walked all the way home, and the $2 could barely buy her a cup of noodles from the convenience store. And I think it's not about the money. I don't think any amount of money would have justified what happened to her or made it okay. But it's almost a measly amount of money is worse, more degrading than no money.
Yeah.
Like
the thought that he thought this is gonna mean anything.
Yeah.
To her.
Yeah. And the thought that he thought, that's enough. Yeah. That's what she's worth, is basically what he's insinuating. The next day, she went to the principal and begged him to do something about the incident. And she's like, please, this is what happened with the vice principal. You're his boss. You're the principal. This is what he did to me. And the principal looked at her and said, you know, Soyoung, you're almost about to be in the 7th grade, right? That's what becoming an adult is. You need to try and be the bigger person and show him some grace and just forgive him just this once. If he does it again, then I can discipline him, okay? But how about you learn to be an adult and learn some forgiveness? Soyoung was R-worded 3 or 4 more times during her time at Inwa boarding school. The stories in these journals were terrifying, and the bus driver didn't stop trying. It's not like he just sat there day in, day out, writing down the most horrific accounts of abuse and going home and doing nothing. He tried to bring it up at the company dinner. So they have haeshiks in Korea, which is basically you're forced to work after hours. You get invited by all your coworkers, your colleagues, your bosses, and you sit there drinking as much as your boss wants you to drink and kissing their butts. And then acting like you love it here. Okay, that's basically what it is. The bus driver is invited, and it's pretty well known that absolutely not in a million years, as long as you want to keep your job, you cannot say no. So he goes to the dinner. Everyone's getting drunk, because the administrators, they keep pouring soju into everyone's glasses. Now, another thing to add is I don't think the bus driver could just go to the police. If that's how he's being treated by his employers, think about how he must have been treated his whole life as a bus driver. He probably has no educational background. He probably doesn't feel like he has any social power.
And in Korea back then, like the social hierarchy is even worse.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're at the bottom of the chain, we know that Korea, especially back then, they only take anything serious if it comes from an influential or wealthy family or person. Anyone below, they can just disregard you completely.
For example, let's say you worked for a massive corporation and you're like the you're the vice president of that company. You throw out allegations of SA, they still won't take you seriously. Think about how a bus driver feels. He's not a teacher, he's not an executive, he's not an administrator. Why would they take his word? Why would they believe him and a bunch of students that, back in the day in Korea, it's always, kids don't know what they're talking about. Kids just say the darnest things. So he thought this was his chance. The bus driver never really got to interact with other teachers. He's thinking, okay, the vice principal shut me down, the administrator shut me down, but maybe if I get a teacher with a college degree, an intellectual background, these teachers must be even more connected to the kids than me because they see the kids nonstop. I only see them when I drop them off, right?
I'm sorry to say, but that's stupid. It's not stupid. It wouldn't lead anywhere, man. They are the teachers that leave the bruises on their hands. If they will do something, those teachers would have raised concerns when they saw bruises anyway. It's not going to lead anything. That school is full of cockroaches that are running. It's going to be nothing. It's just going to be nothing, bro. It's just going to be nothing. Just involve the police, period, bro. Involve the police. This case is already passed. I need to calm the hell down. Oh my God, man. Don't talk to an old fucking. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry for cussing, man.
It's not like I can hang out in the break rooms. So he quietly spoke to a teacher in front of him. While everybody else was drunk and rowdy, he's like whispering to this teacher about the things that he heard on the bus. And he's thinking, okay, the haeshik's about to go down. This teacher is probably going to finish listening to him and freak the fork out on the administrators.
They're going to fire your ass.
Whole thing.
Bro, they're going to fire your ass. That's what it is. You have to analyze the whole situation. You're doing a great job. And I know you need somebody to hear you up, but it's nobody in that school, bro. I'm not going to trust anybody in that school. The kid told you the teacher left marks when he left his homework. If they're touching panties and stuff like that, you think they don't know about it? Think about this. Think about this. If the principal shuts you down, you think a teacher is going to do shit? Think about it. Bro, I'll bypass every teacher, everybody in that school. If the principal told you that, I'm bypassing everybody. I'm going to the law enforcement. I'm going to authority. You have evidence, bro. You have the kids. What? The police are going to tell you it's okay too? Why going back to that school? Oh, man.
He didn't realize the teacher he was talking to was one of the molesters.
Exactly, bro. I knew.
To play off his crimes. It's like, I didn't know that. Oh my God, I'm going to talk to the principal tomorrow. The teacher picked up one of those. So in Korea, we drink soup out of like earthenware bowls. They're made out of really heavy stone. It's basically a pot. You can put it on the stove. It's like a 돌솥 bibimbap bowl, right? Mm-hmm. I would imagine it's maybe 50 times thicker than a regular bowl.
Yeah, it's like a piece of rock, right?
Yeah, it's like a cast iron.
Yeah.
He picked it up, drank his soup, and hit the bus driver's head with the heavy bowl. Blood started dripping down his face and onto the table. They had to call an ambulance. It was that bad. And before he got on the ambulance, they basically told him, say a word and we'll kill you. He learned that he could never speak out. And at this point, the faculty had verbally, physically abused him for trying to protect the students. So he focused on maybe one day he could be the voice of the students. He wrote down every single story, every event. He logged it all. The dedication and accuracy of his logs would be a great help to prosecutors later. But you can't help but wonder, maybe things could have been different had just one teacher listened. And maybe there was one. Teacher J. We're going to call him Teacher J because the legal battle later gets so freaking messy, but if you've seen the movie, he's the main character. And his story is based off real-life events. So Teacher J started his teaching career in 2005, which, something to note, being a teacher in South Korea is a very impressive position. Not that it's not impressive anywhere else in the world. We freaking love teachers. But unlike here, teachers in South Korea, they actually get paid pretty well. You know, they have job stability. It's a really desired position. Once you get in, unless you get fired, it's really hard to just like move through the, once you get in, you have job security is what I'm trying to say. But it's the getting in part that's a little bit difficult. Mr. J's dream job was actually a position that not a lot of other teachers wanted. He wanted to work in a school for the disabled. He understood it would probably take more patience, more love, more compassion to work with disabled students. But he wanted that. Like, why not? He wanted to be a capable teacher that was worthy of teaching the vulnerable population. It should be a privilege. It felt like his calling in life, especially because he himself had a disability. He also knew sign language, so he would be using all of his skills to his advantage. Wow. And so the first day at Inwa, he expected a really hectic day. I mean, think about it. You're working with kids. He's thinking, okay, I've worked with kids before. It's a handful. He's prepping himself for kids are going to be running around, screaming, being goofballs while he's trying to get them to settle down. Oh, man, after recess, they're going to have all that adrenaline from running. So then he's got to, tone it down. He's going to be running around trying to understand all of his colleagues, which ones are nice, which ones are going to steal his lunch. He's expecting all of that. But when he walks into his first class, it was like walking into a funeral. These kids weren't acting like kids. They weren't even just well-behaved. They kind of looked like they wanted to melt into the wall. Like they were trying to be invisible. None of them even wanted to be seen by him. It was weird. At first he thought, okay, well, maybe I'm new here. Maybe they need to learn that they can trust me, right? But then the surprises just kept coming. Mr. J was shocked to find out that in the school that was quite literally built for the deaf and mute, he was the only one in the faculty on his floor that knew sign language. Okay, you would think because it's a state-funded program, the government pays for this school, for a boarding school with students with varying levels of oral and auditory capabilities, the bare minimum requirement for teachers would be that they know sign language so they can, teach the kids, communicate with the kids. Another thing was...
Yeah, the government didn't give a shit. They did not. Why do I say that? Because you fund a school, you create a school for disabled people. You don't have regular checks. You don't send people authority to go audit stuff, to go look at stuff, to realize that none of those dumb asses, empty heads could read sign language. Yeah. You think the government gave a shit? You think they gave a shit? They created that institution, threw the students in there, and then shut their minds off, probably doing stupid things themselves.
Mr. J got to go home after classes. So most of the teachers, they didn't live at the school. But most of the students did. They never left, not even on weekends. And yet so much of the faculty didn't know sign language. Like, what if a student had emergency in the middle of the weekend? How could they communicate with people that don't know sign language? And so many of them were sitting in the classrooms with bruises peeking out from under their shirts. Had this not been a boarding school, he might have assumed that the students were being abused at home. But they were here, in the school, all the time. Okay, maybe they're so calm because they play really rough at recess and they let out all their energy, right? He's trying to rationalize all these different explanations in his mind. And very quickly, there was just something that he couldn't ignore. A parent rushed into his class one day fuming. My son said one of the female students at this school is being molested by a teacher. Mr. J's eyes are bulging out of his head. I'm sorry, what did you just say? I asked my son if he was sure, and he said that he was positive. He speaks sign language, and I know that you are one of the teachers that do, so I need you to talk to him. I want that teacher punished. Mr. J brought in the parent's son, and the three sat down, and Mr. J asked, okay, tell me what happened. It's okay. Did your friend get touched in places strangers shouldn't touch her? The student looked terrified, and his eyes were wide, and he slowly nodded yes. And then he rolled up his sleeves and there was bruising all up and down his arms. He glanced around because, in South Korea, I don't know if you guys can picture the classrooms, but there's these giant windows. It's not like America where it's like concrete walls and then a door with a window. There's like giant windows into the hallway. If you watch a K-drama of high school, you know.
Yeah.
So he's making sure that there's no teacher walking by, no administrators, and he keeps his hands as close to his body as he can. And in the smallest motions possible, he's quickly signing. It's almost like he's hiding. I'm not the only one. Mr. J watched as this student, this little child, was signing as fast as he could, just listing off the most horrific abuse that Mr. J had ever heard of. His eyes were watering, but he can't even look away. He had to listen to every single thing that this student had to say. And the student continued, I'm not the only one with the bruises. The teachers always beat us, and it doesn't matter what they do, they'll beat us. My friend wasn't the only one that was touched by teachers either. There's a lot more. The others.
This is the Brothers Home all over again. If you don't know the Brothers Home, I reacted to it. It's Ron Mango's video of South Korea creating a place where they put quote unquote vagrants and they were tortured. Now, this is crazy because this was a boarding school. This was supposed to be a boarding school. It looks like aside this parent, none of the parents really cared. Bro, if I see bruises on my kid, I'm coming to the school, and best believe you would need an army. You need an army to get me sane when I get there. Bro, bruises up and the child couldn't talk. The child had to sign language because the child is not able to speak. That doesn't even pull a string of emotion. Are you serious? How demonic have people become? How devilish have people become? Man, how? Where is empathy, bro? If I am the cause of somebody's worry, I worry because in my mind, I'm not supposed to have somebody worry. Bro, for you to get a disabled kid, have bruises all over their arms, essaying them, touching them inappropriately, and beating them when they talk. I don't understand I don't understand the mention of prosecution and everything. Bypass the court. Bro, do something drastic, bro. Do something drastic so it's a deterrent. And not just a deterrent, it'll make good people's blood stop boiling. My blood's boiling.
Why didn't you guys ask for help? Why didn't anyone say anything? We tried. Every time we asked teachers for help, we just got sent away or punished even more. If any of us tried telling people outside the school, they would beat us or they would try and touch us. How did you find that your friend she was walking weird? And I asked her if she was sick. But she did. A man with glasses R-worded her and I was so surprised. Mr. J got up and went to grab the friend that this kid was referring to, and let's call her Yujin. Yujin was only 10 years old, and because both of her parents lived with mental disabilities, her parents thought that the best thing that they could ever do for their kid was to send her to this boarding school. These are not parents that didn't want her. These are not parents that are like, I'm so busy with work, I don't want to spend the weekends with you. They genuinely thought if when they were growing up with their disabilities, if there had been such a thing for students with disabilities, they felt like they would have a chance at a normal life. So this was Eugene's chance. She would be surrounded by students like her. She would have a community, a place to fit in. And that makes this situation even more infuriating. To her parents, this school was like a beacon of hope. And now she's shaking in her chair as this new teacher is signing to her. Did he? And she told him, yes, I'm sure that he did. He made me bend down and he pulled my pants down. And afterwards, he cleaned everything up with paper towels, and he gave me a cup of Coke to drink.
Cheese, 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 cheese. Oh. Oh. Ah. I know I blame the parents, but I didn't know some of the parents had disabilities, and that makes it extra. Ah. That makes it extra sad. Bro, there's something going on in me right now. Did you hear that? I'm sorry for the parents. The parents with disabilities themselves. I'm sorry. I didn't have to blame you. I'm blaming parents who. Oh my gosh, bro. I'm sorry to these kids. I'm sorry to these kids. I'm sorry to these kids.
The man with the glasses? Which one? And right at that time, she pointed at the perpetrator. It wasn't Mr. J's colleague. It wasn't a teacher. It was none other than the vice principal. One of the top dogs in the entire boarding school. And Mr. J could feel his chest moving up and down rapidly. Like, he had to be smart about this. He can't just confront the guy. If he is the vice principal, he has more authority than Teacher J. He could easily cover it up or shut him up. Teacher J stormed into the nurse's office, told her everything. Like, did you know about this? We need to get some evidence, like some medical evidence on these students if they're being abused like this. She boards here. Eugene lives here. So obviously she would have come here if she felt ill, and she was very ill because she couldn't even walk properly to the point where her friends noticed. And Teacher J is like holding back his tears. This is a 10-year-old we're talking about, a 10-year-old with disabilities that was so excited to be at this school because for the first time in her life, she felt like there was hope. And he's on the verge of breaking down. And this is the terrifying part. The nurse's face is stone cold. I'll look into it. What? What do you mean you'll look into it? I said I'll look into it, Teacher J. And that was that. The tone, the dismissal. I mean, honestly, it felt like the nurse was dismissing all concerns and probably knew what was going on. Mr. J thought, fine, if she's not going to help me, I'm going to march down here with all the other teachers until she finally listens. When he told a few of the other teachers on his floor, they all avoided eye contact and they were glancing at the walls. I mean,
Man, you know what? I was in a shop one day and I was glancing through reels and somebody posted something really good and I think it fits this story appropriately. I'm not saying anything, but the person posted dead people don't reoffend. Dead PDF files don't reoffend. Take it as you will, man. Take it as you will. You know what I'm talking about. Dead PDF files don't reoffend, especially those that harm disabled kids, man. If they're 6 feet, they don't reoffend. Yeah, man. You understand what I'm saying?
how are you guys okay with this? Did you not hear me? Do I need to repeat myself? One of them sheepishly responded, yeah, but what can we do about it, right? Mr. J feels like he's losing his freaking mind. Why is he the only one shocked at what's going on? Why does it feel like everyone is gaslighting him into believing that this happens at every school? It all goes back to the Inwa Mafia.
Huh?
That's what everyone calls it. So let me give you the rundown on the Inwa boarding school. Even though this is a state government-funded program, it was run like straight up like a mafia. That's what the press would later dub the administrators of this school, the Inwa Mafia. At the top of the food chain is the Inwa family. One family runs the entire school.
Wow.
The dad of the family is the chairman. The wife, the mom of the family, is the co-chairman. The first son is the principal. The second son is the vice principal. The third son is...
Are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? No wonder they had that much power to do what they're doing and telling people off. They do not care. This is a doomed family. This is a family that should be out of here, if you understand what I'm saying. Something should happen. There should have been somewhere, like, oh my gosh, man. There's a lot of things I want to say. Well, jeez. This is the vice principal, guys. This piece of shit. This shit is the vice principal. This vice principal, this guy, this. You remember the sign, the guy that signed pointing at the idiot, the piece of shit. You see him right here? You see him? Yeah, him. Chief of administration. Students of, bro, this is a piece of shit family. This is a bro, what? What?
Is the art teacher that likes to draw nude photos. Their niece is the director of student affairs. Their brother-in-law is this. Everyone at the top that's not a regular schmegular teacher was part of the family.
That's why they feel like they can do whatever.
That's
And
what I
nobody can
just
even say
said.
a thing.
Not a thing. The family ran the school. There was no checks and balances because, sure, if the head of administration does something wrong, you can report it to the principal. But would you still report it if you knew they were brothers? Probably not. Okay, but what if the teachers got together to protest what's going on? Korea itself has a hierarchical society, has a hierarchy, just embedded into society. And it's very different from the US, where technically you have a hierarchy. You're like, okay, there's a manager, there's an assistant manager, there's the employee. It's nearly impossible to speak out against your boss. So what happens is, a lot of Korean companies don't like to hire people that disrupt business. Even if you're doing the right thing, if it's disrupting business, you're not a good employee.
Eat shit and die, man.
Bringing up allegations of
Eat
abuse has
shit
often
and die,
been considered making waves, which is crazy. Okay, I'm not saying this is proper or right. I'm giving you context. This is crazy, okay? It's considered making waves. And if you get fired, you would be blacklisted from the industry. Your next employer won't care that you were sticking up for vulnerable students who are being abused. They will see you as someone who causes problems. And remember how I said teaching is a pretty prestigious career in Korea? Because of that, a lot of people want to become a teacher, which means there's not enough open positions. A lot of teachers at Inwa ended up there because they had no other option. And the family knew that. They exploited that. They would often force teachers to pay for their spot. This is so legal, especially if you don't want me to fire you and replace you with someone else next semester, give me 10% of your paycheck back. The teachers were so terrified of the Inwa family, they would bring them gifts every week. This is so bizarre. But every week they were expected to bring the family gifts, and if they didn't, their names would be written on the whiteboard in the office room, kind of like, hey, we know you didn't gift us anything this week, and also we're going to publicly shame you. Even during Chuseok, which is like Thanksgiving, so typically Koreans might bow to the floor to show respect. This is the ultimate bow. So you know how Koreans 인사, they say hello and they go 안녕하세요, right? The ultimate bow that I've only done a few times in my life, primarily to family, like my aunts, uncles, my parents, you get on your knees, your hands touch the ground, and your forehead touches the floor. This is the ultimate sign of gratitude, respect. Like, you do this for people who have given their lives to raise you. You do this maybe for, if you're religious, right? For people that have genuinely saved you, made you who you are. You don't do this for an employer. The teachers were expected to bow to the family during special holidays. Okay, I get it. There's a hierarchy in Korea, but this is bizarre. Like, if you told any Korean that, they'd be like, are you out of your mind? Like, have you lost your marbles? What are you talking about? Most of the teachers at Inwa, they had their own families. They had their own loved ones with medical bills. They had their own futures to look out for. Most of them, I will give it to most of the teachers, had no idea what was going on. Remember, a good portion of them don't speak sign language. The teachers don't live on campus. They go home at the end of the day. The ones that lived on campus with the kids, they were mainly part of the administration.
So I understand the dynamic now. Remember when I was going off on the teachers, on the government, on everything? So it's this stupid mafia family who all look like shit anyway and are all going to, man. Yeah. So they run the thing. They get funding from the government some way, somehow. I do not know how. And they take in vulnerable people who are at the brink of something so they can control them, have them bowing to them with their heads touching the floor, maltreating them. I thought all the teachers were in on it. So there were some teachers that will spend time with the kids on campus and then go home. I get it. And then there's some kids who are part of the administration who spend time with the kids. And that is why there was the essay going on. I understand that. So there were some teachers who will come to the school unexpected. They didn't know anything. Okay, those teachers are out of the loop. Bro, my mind is about to explode. I get the whole dynamic now. I get it. I get it now, man. But, oh my goodness, man, like, somebody come save the day, because this is crazy, man. So the teachers are being manipulated too. Oh my God, there's nothing really, if you look at it. Looking at it, bro, you know they're being abused, but who are you freaking telling? Because the stupid system wouldn't have you rehired if you get fired. So you're already clinching to your job. Dang, man, this is tough, man. What the hell? Man, this is tough. You want to save the kids, but you don't want to risk losing your job, because what if it all backfires? And they're saying if you label the problem, then you won't be rehired. What the hell, bro? I get the bus driver now, man. Oh my goodness, man. Oh my goodness, man.
Side note, the family does have their own home, the Inwa family, but I think they took turns, and they would have a few different teachers that would stay during the weekends and the nights, but just keep that in mind. But for the teachers that did know and did nothing, I have no words. And so much of the abuse seemed like it was on a scheduled basis, especially on the weekends when most of the teachers were gone. The vice principal would come into the dorm rooms. He would play music really loudly on speakers and assault the students. One victim said, he forcefully kissed me, so I got angry and I kicked him and I told him to get off, so he slapped me. And it wasn't just him. It seemed like everyone was in on it. The principal, the older brother, he was actually called the pervert by the students. Yeah, his favorite thing was to make us watch adult films with him. Again, I don't know if every single family member, a part of the Inwa family, participated in the abuse or if it was just the sons, but I can't imagine that the parents don't know. I can't imagine that the co-chairman, the wife, didn't know. I feel like they knew. Even the nurses were in on it. So there was another nurse at the school who helped forge medical records of the students when the administrators, the predators, needed it. This is wild. So A predator assaulted a student and then dragged her to get a nurse checkup to prove that she had no recent sexual activity. Like, what an odd thing to do, right? It's even more suspicious than not doing anything at all. But he dragged her there and demanded a physical checkup on her private parts. And I don't know what kind of school nurse does these types of checkups, but the parents were not alerted. They did not give parental approval. The nurse did the quote exam and stated that there was a tear in the hymen. Now, side note, that's not really proof that she was R-worded because hymens can tear or break from even riding a bike. But the nurse initially wrote in a report that there was a tear. Now, that doesn't prove if she did or didn't have sexual encounters. That's what the nurse wrote. And then mysteriously, the document was updated by the nurse. The administrators clearly didn't like this. The did or didn't lingo, it's too confusing. Did it or did it not happen? The nurse changed it to read, "In my professional opinion, I am 100% certain that no sexual act was committed." Technically, you can't tell as a medical professional. So we could bring in the argument that the nurse was bribed or threatened into adding that, but my personal speculative opinion is that he full well knew what he was doing. A teacher brings in a young student in for a vaginal examination and the parents and guardians are not present and the teacher is allegedly unhappy with the inconclusiveness of the exam. You're telling me you don't know? It's really not hard to put the pieces together. Another thing that makes this extra horrendous is remember how it's a state-funded school? It's funded by the government. They get paid for the number of students who attend. The more students there, the more money the family makes. More students...
That is my problem. That is my problem. If the government funds it and gives them money so much so that the more students they get, the more funding they get, won't there be any sort of an inspection? They do that all the time here in the U.S. Like, wouldn't there be any sort of an inspection? Even in third world countries that do that. Even in, like, less developed countries that do that. There will be a government entity that will come around inspecting stuff. Wasn't there any inspection to see bruises on kids, interviewing kids, talking to kids, like sign language, to see that none of those None of those dumbasses could sign to the kids? There was no inspection. All you did was pump money to these idiots, these family of idiots, these family of God-forsaken people, these family of people who need to be out of here.
Students to abuse and more money. Not only were the Inwa family abusers just disgusting, they were really greedy. Technically, the school is a charity, and they constantly accepted donations from the public. People wanted to donate clothes, art supplies, books, whatever it may be. And what the school does reminds me of, you know, those really shady charity stories that come out once in a while about corrupt charities where you have all the charity organizers pocketing the money and just marketing to you, basically. They show you a picture of this new state-of-the-art facility for sheltered dogs, and then you realize it's fake, that 90% of the dogs that they rescue are kept in horrendous conditions that you will never see. This is like a set for ads, they say. It's like that at Inwa. The teachers would take all the donated shirts, do photo shoots with the students, rip it off of them, and sell these used shirts for cash. Like, they would make pennies on the dollar. They weren't even selling it for much. It's not like people are donating Dior shirts. People are donating just worn out shirts. That's how greedy they were. Every single penny, they refused to give it to the people that they're making money from. Like, it couldn't even be a shirt. They would even sell art supplies. Used school supplies, like 3-ring binders, they would sell it instead of give it to the students. So the family would do anything to protect their status and their positions. Mr. J was going up against what felt like a mountain as tall as Mount Everest, but he was willing to do anything to protect these kids. He didn't care if nobody stood behind him, if the nurses and the other teachers wouldn't listen. The next step was the police. So he went to the local police station after work one day, and the police listened intently as he's telling a story of what he had heard. They listened, but it didn't seem like they were taking any notes.
What?
And he questioned, why aren't you guys writing this all down? When he was done, the police doubted if the students could even communicate clearly what did or didn't happen to them. How do you know it's not just miscommunication? What are you saying? Just because some of the students are deaf or mute? Are you serious right now? The police did contact the victim's parents, and they asked the victim's parents to get all the evidence, to go gather all the evidence of the abuse so that they can maybe feel inspired to do their damn jobs.
What the oh my God. What? It's over for these kids, man. It's over. It's over. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you have those pieces of shit as police people. I'm sorry you had to be thrown in that school. I'm sorry you had to go through what you had to go through. Are you serious? I was advocating for them going to the police. It was even worse. You asking the parents to go do your damn jobs, to go investigate and bring you the evidence. What pieces of shit, bro? If you were police in that era and you're still alive and you knew the case and said that and you're still alive, I hope you get... Ah, my gosh, man. Wow. These kids had everything fighting against them, man. The teacher had everything fighting against him. Bus driver, it is over, man. It is over. It's not even funny, man. It is over. It's disgusting, man. I am done. I am done. I am done, man. Oh my goodness.
When the parents would try and argue the police should be doing that, how are they going to walk in and look for evidence in a school? The police would casually just state, well, then I think this is a case for the Child Services Department and not us. You should take your complaints there. CSD would send them back to the police. Everyone kept bouncing the case around because it, quote, wasn't their jurisdiction. It just reminds me so much of this Hauer Ferry case. Nobody wanted to do their job. Nobody wanted to be accountable for anything. The police were assholes, and they were super ableist. This particular police station avoided dealing with sexual crimes against people with disabilities. Not even just minors, everyone with disabilities. These officers felt like people with disabilities were untrustworthy.
Wow.
They said
Guys, is this real life right now? Did this really happen? Somebody tell, please, Stephanie Shu, after this video, just tell me this was a story somebody wrote. Oh my goodness, man. This is how you treat kids, man? This is how you treat defenseless kids? This? Uh? Uh? They're disabled, so they are untrustworthy. Why don't those bad things happen to people who are like that, man? Like, oh my goodness. Sometimes a lot of bad things can be mitigated if people take action the right way, if people respond to them the right way. The sewer wouldn't have 350 casualties if the idiots that went there to rescue them, not the citizens, but the idiots who were actually supposed to go rescue, if they didn't sit at the edge watching, if they had rescued them, there wouldn't be a lot of casualties. If the police did their damn job, a lot of the kids would have been rescued. Yes, they would still have had trauma. They would still have had a lot of things to deal with, but it wouldn't have gone on for how long it went on for. It's over, man. I'm so defeated. Bro, man.
they always change their stories. They stated if they have a mental disability, how can they remember correctly? Their job is to protect and serve the population, and here they are essentially allowing crimes against one of the most vulnerable groups of people. These officers are just as bad as the predators.
Yeah.
So the teachers wouldn't listen, the school wouldn't listen, the police wouldn't listen. And Mr. J had one option left, and it was going to ruin his career and almost potentially ruin his entire life. He went to the media. He called the local news, the media outlets. He said he had insider information on one of the biggest child sexual assault scandals inside of a school for disabled students. He worked closely with the network NBC, and together they were able to gather 9 victims that were willing to speak up about what happened to them. I believe a few of them had graduated, but most of them were current students, and I can't emphasize enough how brave these students are. Keep in mind, a lot of these kids live full-time on campus. They all have some degree of a hearing, speaking, or mental impairment, and a good majority of the kids had the mental functioning level of a toddler. They used it to their advantage. These kids were in the complete control of the authority figures, and they were well aware of this. They were well aware that they had no power. It was them up against an entire school of wealthy, elite people with social power and connections and all the tools available to communicate what they believed happened. And they still agreed to put their lives on the line, essentially. Many of the perpetrators were out in the open once the documentary aired. So NBC aired this whole documentary about all the crimes inside the Inwa school. Now, I will say that this documentary wasn't that explosive. People who cared, cared. People who didn't care, didn't care. It's not like the movie. I think if this documentary came out today, it would be a whole thing. But back in the day, people were just like, well, we don't really know, and it's not really our business, and I'm not even from that part of town. How would I know? And can we really go on a crusade? How would we even organize something like that? Many of the perpetrators, their names were out in the open in the documentary for the world to see. And the crazy thing is they had no shame. The vice principal, one of the more heinous abusers inside that entire administration, opened the door to his home for documentary makers and let them into the house. He was wearing nothing but his underwear. He sat down on his living room floor as if these are just family friends coming over to play poker.
He's wearing underwear only?
Yeah. So, like, they came over when he wasn't working, and he's like, yeah, come in. He doesn't even go and get changed. He doesn't even, like, tell the intercom, hold on, I gotta go put on some clothes. And he knows what they're here for. These journalists aren't lying. They're not like, hey, we're here to deliver a chair. They're like, we are the NBC producers. We want to talk to you about this case.
So it's not only that he doesn't even care. He doesn't even think.
He does not care, man. He does not care. He does not give a rat's ass. Yes, of course, because the documentary came out, people did not care. It wasn't them. It wasn't their kids. It wasn't their family members, of course. And they could say, oh, yeah, I don't care, bro. I am in another part of the world listening to this, trying to hold my puke in. I'm trying not to vomit all over the screen. And then somebody there is saying, yeah, it didn't happen in my province. It didn't happen in my state. Yeah. No wonder he could allow them in. You're lucky it was the NBC people that came in and it wasn't me coming in at that time. Bro, if I came in, there'll be a whole lot of mess. The walls would be painted red, and that would not be Kool-Aid. You'll be laying in all kinds of emergencies, bro. Ah, my goodness, bro. You're lucky it wasn't me coming in there. You're lucky it wasn't me coming in there. Bro, and I am saying this with all seriousness, bro. I do not care. I'm not joking. It's not a joke. I don't care, bro. Those are disabled kids, 10-year-old kids. Bro, you are lucky. You are lucky. Yeah, that underwear. Oh, boy.
Think this is gonna affect how he looks.
No.
So he doesn't even try to look serious or anything.
Yeah. He doesn't try to act shocked, serious, or hurt. He just lets them in and says, just by listening to the kids' so-called stories, like, how can you guys take this seriously? How can you come over here and give us all a freaking headache over some hearsay? So he's saying that the story is false and that the victims are liars? Not exactly. He continues, well, the nurses did it too. The teachers were constantly abusing the kids. Oh my God, there's this one teacher, I forget his name. He stopped working there. Kwong something, okay? He did it. You should ask him. I mean, even if the parents filed a complaint, nothing happened, so what do you want us to do? The kids have nowhere else to go. We're the ones taking them in. I know, you look so confused. I was so confused, and I was like, oh, maybe this is like a translation mistake because I don't understand the thought process. But he's basically saying in a whiny tone, as if the kids have nowhere else to go and being stuck there to be abused somehow makes it better. Like, it's almost like you're welcome, we're even taking them in. So what, it's not perfect. At least we're taking them in. No one else wants to take them in. I truly don't know what's going on with his brain chemistry, but something is clearly not right. Another incident really stood out to me. The vice principal again later was interviewed by NBC, and he bluntly, audaciously told them, I already filed all the claims. I'm sorry, excuse me, what claims? For false allegations? It's not even an arguable story, really, but they made it all up. I was so shocked when the students lied. I mean, how could they do that to me? How could they do that to me? When I talked to the students, I was always encouraging. I always had good intentions. They were always starved for love. If my sin is being too nice and too kind, then fine. That's my sin. This is all so ridiculous. So now you're saying you never committed any crimes? Yep, never did. Swear to God. Side note, at this point, the principal's wife, so the vice principal's sister-in-law, comes.
Bro, this is not me talking. YouTube, this is not me talking. This is the leaf beside me talking. Bro, I wish that guy was unalived, man. Right there and then, I wish he was. I wish he was gone, bro. I definitely wish he was. That's the leaf talking. That's not me. That's not me. That's not me, YouTube. That's not me.
Out and is like, oh my God, you guys again? What's wrong with you guys? The case is over. He resigned. So the vice principal had resigned after the documentary. He resigned, okay? Get over it.
Wow.
Get over the Han River.
And the vice principal pulled out a letter and said, see, I told you guys I wasn't lying. He pulled out a paper and held it for the producers like a proud little rat. Like, I don't know how else to describe him. I'm sorry. But he's like showing it off, this piece of paper. And it reads, Yujin, one of the victims, did not have sex with the head of administration. That's literally what it reads. And she signed it along with 6 other signatures of students that were witnesses and guarantors. Ignoring the fact that minor signatures are not legally binding, this is so messed up for so many reasons. Can you imagine the amount of fear that Yujin went through when he R-worded her and now the R-worder is pressuring her into signing this document, and the fact that she still had to see him, she still had to talk to him. She was 11. But he claimed he didn't pressure her at all. He said, no. I just very nicely asked her why she said the things that she said, and she admitted to me that Mr. J forced her to lie. Yeah.
Remember what I said when I scroll through the reel? It's a reel, YouTube. It's a reel. It's not me. It says dead people don't reoffend. Oh my goodness. Dead people do not reoffend. I wonder what that means, and I wonder how that will solve this issue. Wow. I wonder. Dead people don't reoffend. That looks like the solution to all this mess.
Forced her to lie.
You know, these are like the worst people. These kids needs more love and attention, right? They don't even treat them as equals. They already have a viewpoint of these kids, and then they took advantage of it and started a school just so they can take advantage, make money off them. So I don't think they started this for the right reason. They started this for this evil reasons.
Oh yeah, to make money off
to take advantage of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, well, we're also predators, so this is great.
Yeah, and they're saying, no, we are at least doing the good thing, guys.
I mean, it's obvious that they are just monsters in all of this. And the fact that they made a bunch of kids sign a document. And I think it's also the audacity that he's holding up this piece of paper like, I told you so. What are you talking about? Like, no one in the court of law is going to go say, oh my God, that victim that's so scared of you, I guess that is a pretty legal piece of document. He says, I even have a video recording of her admitting that it was all lies. Thankfully, producers went to find someone else that was at that, quote, meeting, and they're all a bunch of kids. One of Yujin's friends said that the room, there was so much pressure. They kept telling Yujin, tell me the truth, tell me the truth. And they suddenly got angry and started to hit Yujin. She told them the truth, and they said, no, that's not what we want you to say. They wanted her to deny that the R word ever happened. They said that they will be so nice to her if she said so. I thought something was wrong because if they don't have any sins, why would they need to hit us? So even after that, the student doesn't really understand what was happening. They know it's wrong. They know that the administrators bullying Yujin is wrong, but they're too young to grasp the concept of why they're even doing that. So it's not a moment of these students being like, see, they're trying to get us to change our story because they're in trouble. It's a moment for students being like, wait, no, but this is the truth. So now it's so weird and confusing and we don't understand what's going on. Mm-hmm. It was later revealed that the administrators convinced older students to literally waterboard victims and witnesses if they were talking to the press. Literally waterboard. Take them to the laundry room and waterboard them. Thankfully, even if Yujin had to formally recant her statement later in the trial, because of this coerced letter, it was just too iffy to use her as a testimony. There were students that witnessed her assault through the office window. They even saw the wiping with the tissues, the cup of Coke part. They stated clearly for producers that Yujin was screaming, no, no, no. And that part is going to become devastating. The fact that she was screaming, no, just keep this in mind. So obviously, when the coercion didn't work, the vice principal asked to meet with Mr. J in a hotel lobby and begged him to negotiate with the administration. If Mr. J was to just admit that he made all the kids lie, he could get all the benefits that he would ever dream of. He could be the next vice principal, for crying out loud, if he wanted.
Bro, what? Screw you! Mr. J, you've come a long way. You didn't do this for position. You didn't do this to get your hands dirty. You didn't do this to get in bed with the devil. Please don't accept it. Please don't accept it. I will go crazy, bro. I will end the video. I will go crazy. Please.
The vice principal said, I'm the chairman's son. Being on my good side, it would be really good for you. Mr. J rejected it, and the head of administration, he's married, the vice principal is married, he's doing all of this with the wife and kids, and what's crazier is that the wife is sticking by his side. His wife comes out and begs, pleads with Mr. J, and she says, my husband is not responsible for any of this. He did not do it. He could go to prison for a really long time because of this. Please, you have to help us.
And you need to be in prison with him too. You're a stupid woman. You a piece of shit. You don't deserve to be a woman. No, I'm not. The lady, her wife, his stupid wife, the one who, oh my goodness, bro, please, God. Yeah. Look. Oh my goodness, man. Look, you're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit. You see kids being harassed, being tortured, and you beg on your stupid husband's bro, you both should be dead people don't reoffend.
Mr. J declined, and he went to the media and told them what happened. The school was super pissed with all the negative press that they were getting. They didn't even care about doing damage control. They just felt rage. So they fired Mr. J on the spot.
Oh yeah.
They responded to journalists. Deaf people always lie.
Oh my gosh, bro.
Deaf people always lie. It's in their nature. They lie as much as they eat.
Oh my goodness.
I was so shocked at this line. Okay. They lie as much as they eat is such a, I don't know if it comes off in the translation, but in Korean, it's such a disgusting way to describe something. It's like you don't even see them as humans. You see them as like animals. They said, teachers who I know also said the same thing as me. Deaf people always act however they want for their own comfort. They only think about the present moment. That's why they lie, and that's why we should never trust them. That's usually a firm iron rule in this industry.
Can you imagine? This is like the care, what are they called?
The
caretaker of these. Like, can you imagine?
I can imagine squeezing a watermelon, man. I can imagine squeezing a watermelon and splashing. Yeah. I can imagine like breaking stuff right now. I can imagine, fuck. My God, bro. I want to break this, but it's so expensive. Ah, man, I want to break this, but I can make YouTube videos, bro. I want to. Oh my goodness, man. I wanna. Oh my God, are you serious right now, bro? Bro, you pieces of stupid urine. You idiots, bro. Bro, I wish I was in front of one of them, bro. Ha, it will be an expensive ass whooping, bro. Ha. Oh man. Yes. Oh, I wanna, bro. You don't understand it, man. Just don't understand it, bro. You don't get it, bro.
Yeah, what I don't understand is, yeah, I don't know.
But
Like,
how do they
even
think it's okay to say that too?
that's what I'm saying. And I think, like, okay, I think they are evil, they are monsters, and they did receive a lot of backlash, but whatever the community, whatever bubble they're in, made them feel that was appropriate. So it's not just the person saying it that's wrong. There must be people behind this family that are like, yeah, I totally agree with you. They must have family friends that they go out to eat dinner with and complain about the students that literally are their livelihood. And everyone must say, yeah, you're totally right. I just can't imagine what that community of their friends or those closest to them are like if they think that this is okay to say in public to
Yeah.
producers.
Probably making fun of them all the time and
Yes.
jokes around and
So, like I said, we're probably covering a small percentage of the abuse that truly happened. The school was open for over 50 years. It's 50 years of abuse we're talking about. And
What the huh? Oh my, the school's open for how long? Oh my goodness, bro.
I'm sure it's just horrific to the point where I don't think any of the general population knows truly the full extent of what happened. He said that with his full chest, and I have no words. I don't think people could be even more enraged. Parents of the school and the victims staged a sit-in. They demanded something to happen. The police hadn't gotten involved. Mr. J was fired. The perpetrators are still working with children and getting paid by the government. The people who saw the documentary, they were mad, but it wasn't enough. It was still up to the parents to fight. They just wanted the school to shut down. They spent 8 months of their lives on pause, living in front of the school on the street. They set up tents. They held signs that read, "Life is hard enough with a disability. How dare you?" Harsh punishments for sexual predators. In a gut-wrenching moment, the parents would protest in a full bow, on their knees, forehead touching the hot cement, scraping their hands, palms, knees, everything on the cement. This position is really hard to keep. They're doing this nonstop, begging the public to help them. For hours in the heat, this is what they did. Sometimes students joined them, and they would wait outside the school gates with cartons of eggs and cake. When the Inua family would walk through the gates, they would egg them and then throw flour on them. You've most likely seen this in K-dramas. It's a real practice. It's one of the more severe social shame bullying tactics, and normally I'm against it, but I can't say that I'm mad on this case.
Man, eggs and cakes. Bro, eggs and cakes. How about something much more hurtful, like physically damage? Eggs and cakes, bro. No, no. Like, let's get, you know what I mean? Like something that would make red appear. When I say red, you get it like red appear from somebody's face, Some hard, some strong. You throw it, cause damage. Eggs and cakes, man, they'll wash it away. Man, sometimes you need to show you're angry, man, in so many ways. I hate this family so much. I would be so happy if all of them got one day. They all one day. Just you know what I mean?
And this is when media turned. really random articles started coming out about how ungrateful students at this school were. The article were basically fluff pieces for the Inwa family, probably on their payroll. They would write things like, I mean, I get it, the students are upset, but this is still a working principle at the end of the day. We need to respect our teachers and elders. What are we teaching society? And they would say things like, this is a school that took them in when nobody else did. Okay,
Wow.
I really hate that sentiment. I really hate that sentiment. What does that even mean? No,
Screw you! Screw you! Screw you! Screw you! Screw you! Anybody that wrote that thing, bro, cancel them, bro. Oh my! I'm about to end this thing. I'm about to end it. I'm about to end it. I'm about to end this video, bro. I will break my laptop. I'm about to end this video. I'm about to end this freaking video, please. I'm about to end
they
it,
were
bro.
getting rich
This
off this
doesn't
school.
make no sense.
They were getting rich off this school. I'm sure if given the chance, there are so many people who genuinely want to help these students that don't have the proper connections, or maybe they don't even have the proper education, and that's why they can't. And because the school was still operating, the principal gathered up all the students that egged him and forced them to write apology letters. This guy wants apology letters for getting egged. Oh, yeah. I mean, they were the driest apology letters that I have ever read in the history of my life, which, like, good for them, right? But they would write things like, I'm sorry to the principal for making him uncomfortable. Dear principal, we're sorry that we threw red paint at you. We're sorry that we egged you. From now on, we'll do the right things. The principal was pissed. He started to physically abuse them again. He would line up the students and slap them around and scream, because your parents are out there protesting and doing that weird shit. Now you're getting hit in here. Just know that this is because of your parents.
No way, they're still inside?
Yes. They have nowhere else to go. Finally, the protests gathered enough public interest and got enough civilians riled up that the police were pressured into launching an investigation. After a few months, Korean law enforcement arrested 6 Inwa school administrators and teachers. They were going to court. 9 victims were going to testify. The National Human Rights Center sent representatives to help prepare the victims and go through their trauma. Now, trial number 1, there were a lot of rough details that came out during all of this. Just really rough allegations of abuse. You know, I'm talking watching adult films, forcing them to kiss, and just really nasty, nasty stuff. I mean, most of which we've already covered. All of it is like coming out into the open during the trial in its full gruesome details. Another student, let's call her Sumin, she was one of the girls that would get invited over to the teachers' homes. This is very sick and twisted. So think about how vile the psychology behind these monsters are. The vice principal would want to abuse his student. He does it in the school, but it's not enough. He wants to now bring that student into his home that he shares with his wife and kids. He forces that student to eat dinner with his whole family while he tells his wife about how good of a student Sumin is. After dinner, the teacher, the vice principal, suggests that his wife and kids go run some quick errands while he and Sumin go over some practice tests. He then assaults the student in his own home. I feel like there's some sick psychology behind that.
Yeah.
Like the risk it would take to even bring the students home and the whole dinner, like it's so sick and twisted to me. Like, what are you getting out of it? It's like something is wrong with you.
Yeah.
Because he's getting something out of it. And it didn't just happen once. It happened multiple times to Sumin alone. And I can't imagine that she was the only one that this vice principal did this to. If the girl refused to go to his house, he would beat her and R-word her in the school for retaliation. So there was no winning. Speaking of retaliation, those who ever looked like they would think about talking about the abuse, they were beaten to a pulp. The physical abuse in this school alone would have warranted a trial. There is some photo evidence of it. I'm not going to show it because these, again, are a lot of it would happen on the bottoms, like the butt, right, and they're minors, so I'm not going to show that. But there's it's just, there's no part that looks, it's just blue, deep purple, like yellow, but not in like the yellow undertone, like the bruising yellow. Mm-hmm. It looks like it was done with some sort of long cane. So many of the parents of the victims actually knew about all of this, but they themselves struggled with mental or physical disabilities, and they knew that the police would never believe them because they weren't able-bodied. So they felt like their best way to protect their child was to help them feel better and would teach them how not to cause trouble. And what's so sad is,
my
and I
God.
think like these parents are always teaching these kids how not to be a burden to able-bodied people. And that kind of mindset is so heartbreaking because, like, that's not how we should think at all. One victim's grandmother cried out, "How can intellectual people do this? How do they even dare do something like this?" The perpetrators were intellectual people. My granddaughter is deaf and she cannot speak a word. How can he do that to her? Do they feel no pity towards her? If there were no laws, I would find the perpetrator and tear them apart with my own two hands. She is a kid who cannot even speak. Do you remember Hoyoung at the beginning of this story? She was assaulted and then given $2. She would tell the principal what happened and he ignored her, right? She ended up graduating and tried to move on with her life. She got married, had a child. And she said every day all she thought about was the abuse. Even with her husband, she said it wasn't until the trial that she told him what actually happened. She was so worried that he would feel ashamed of her. She thought that he'd be upset with her. And she was so scared. And thankfully, he was a normal, morally upstanding person. He held her hand, he listened to her. And when she was done, his face was soaking wet with tears. And he told her, "None of this is your fault." He told reporters, "I was so angry after what I heard. I wanted to wipe out all the teachers. I just wanted..."
Thank you. That is exactly how I feel. I should have used that. I want to wipe out all the perpetrators in a in a way nobody wants to see, in a way that I want to wipe them all out. And let's give props to her husband for understanding that, for holding her hands. We need people like that in this world to heal hearts, to heal trauma. Imagine the fear in which she told her husband, and just for him to hold her hands and assure her it's going to be okay. Mister, you're not the only person that feels that way. We all feel that way. We are all sorry your wife and other students had to go through that. And I know for sure I want to wipe them all out if I could.
to see them one time face to face. During the trial, the defense did some insane things. Their line of questioning towards Hoyoung and another one who also was a victim, grew up, got married, and had a child, the lawyers asked, these are the perpetrator's defense attorneys. They asked, how can you get married and pregnant if you had ever been R-worded?
Yeah, ask your mom. Ask your mother. Ask your mother. I don't care. You're a lawyer. You're doing your job, but screw your job this time around. I don't care. I hate them so much, so screw you. I do not care. I lump you with them for taking their stupid blood money and defending them. So how about this? I'm going to answer the cross-examination for you, little piece of shit. Ask your mom and ask those dickheads sitting in the courtroom. How about that? I mean, the people you're defending.
I'm sorry, what? Their logic in this was, if a person who is R-worded, they can never fall in love and get pregnant due to the trauma. They believed if someone is truly traumatized sexually, they can never heal from it, and there's no way that they could ever be intimate ever again. Therefore, if the victims got pregnant, there was no way that they were ever R-worded as kids.
You're stupid. You're very stupid.
Another really
lawyer.
infuriating detail to note is it's going to be important throughout the trial. Most of the students in the school were using sign language to communicate. And to put it nicely, their sign language education and vocabulary was questionable at best, detrimental at worst. Many of the teachers in the school didn't even know sign language. How do you expect the students to learn? I mean, regardless of the case or not, that is so devastating that they aren't even taught the ways to express their emotions and feelings like most people can. It's such a disservice. The students had a limited range of expression, including words to describe the exact series of events. And they were too young to even understand what really happened to them. They just kept signing that they felt icky. They felt icky. Other students said it was so sad because these kids, they would go up on the stand and they would start getting so frustrated with themselves that they can't express what happened to them because they weren't given the tools. And again, I just want to disclaim that sign language is a complete language. And the reason that they couldn't express it was not because sign language didn't have the words, but they weren't taught that. Even if there were all the ways in the world for the kids to accurately express themselves, they weren't taught any of it. Spectators said the worst part was they ended up having to act out a lot of what happened because they just couldn't sign it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. There were also issues with the initial trial where the interpreters that the prosecutors got, so this is on the government's end. I don't know why they did this. The interpreters barely knew sign language. So people who knew sign language that were spectating the trial, they're like, what is going on? So the prosecutors would ask, why would the teacher do this? The interpreter would say, why would the teacher do this? The student would respond. And then the prosecutor would ask, okay, what did he do? But then the interpreter would just say, why did he do this? So the kid is like, why are you, they look confused, like, why are you just asked me this, I'm so confused. And because they're so young and vulnerable, they felt like, oh, maybe they're going to keep asking me until they like my answer. So sometimes they would keep changing their answer because it's like, why else would they keep asking me that?
Yeah.
But that's not what the prosecutor was asking. The interpreter sucked. It got to the point where all of the other students that were showing up in support were like slamming their hands on tables, like getting so frustrated. And another nuance to note that I think is very important is that when you are testifying, especially when a young person is testifying, when you're vulnerable, you normally hold your hands around your body in sort of like a protective gesture. Or maybe you don't make eye contact. Maybe you're crying and you're trying to keep a straight face and remove all emotion as you're recounting the series of events, right? But the nature of sign language that the children were using, they had to pull their hands and arms away from their body to talk. They had to leave their torsos uncovered, which made them even more vulnerable subconsciously. And to describe the emotions and actions, they can't just verbally say, he lifted my shirt. So like I said, with the rudimentary and whole-filled sign language that they were using and that they were taught, they had to mime it out. So they would even lift up their own shirt in the court to really show what happened. And another thing that's constantly taught to those that are learning sign language is that facial expressions are part of sign language. Because I think with spoken language, you have the tone inflections that kind of indicate the mood or the vibe that you're trying to communicate across. With sign language, because the hand motions could mean similar things, you're using your face to express the emotion that you want the viewer to understand. Mm-hmm. I mean, even with tone inflections, if you have someone who's speaking in monotone, it's kind of hard to understand what type of emotion you're supposed to feel. So it's very important. And to recreate those facial expressions without personally being back in that trauma, I think is impossible. So the whole trial, they're reliving the trauma. They're basically ripping their heart bare to the court, and everyone was under the belief of, okay, this is really bad, but the kids are doing their part, and the adults are going to do our part, and we're going to fight for justice, and this worthy sentence will show the world that they can never do this again. It'll be a...
I'm sorry to the kids, but this is a recurring theme. Every time there is hurt, every time there is like people going through stuff, it looks like the law, the country, instead of fighting justice for them, drags them in the mud too. Look at the sign language thing. They didn't even have anybody who could sign. Interpreting wrong things to the kids, putting the kids on the spot, reliving things. What the hell? It's like every time the perpetrators are okay, the victims have to relive it and relive it. You remember the most hated man in Korea, the little Nayeon with colostomy? Had to sit there because a stupid police officer didn't like her posture. A police officer who is stupid and nothing anyway didn't like her posture. And then this guy had all the police. Like, what the heck, bro? What the heck? It's like you're committing the crime, and at the end of the day, you're not given as much pressure as a victim. You're given all the benefits of the doubt. You're given cool. You're treated cool, and then the victim gets drugged.
A landmark case, right? The principal was given 2 years and 10 months. The vice principal, one of the more heinous people involved in all of this, was given 8 months. 2 nurses were given 10 months each, and most of these were then commuted to probation instead of jail time.
Screw this. I'm done.
Yeah,
I can't do this shit no more, man. Screw this. I'm done. We're over. It's over. See y'all later, man. Screw this
Legal
shit.
stuff.
Screw
The judge
this
wasn't
shit.
even a bad person.
Tune in, hit play, let's take a ride around the world with Steven, we worldwide. Stories so wild, they keep you hooked. Subscribe and share, come take a look. Reacting to the stories, the crazy, the real. With every new video, we bring the thrill. From mysteries to drama, we cover it all. Join the fam, let's have a ball. From dark tales to